SMF MMT pre-market futures update. Pre-market futures have been open exactly 1 hour and 1 minute. And pre-market futures is a way to square positions for the opening bell that will be here in 29 minutes. 11/22/2011. Happy Thanksgiving Day and week, and many more to come to all of you. What we're going to talk about is mark-to-market on equities. And as I have said in the calendar year and many months ago and forecasted, is that you would have to mark the assets down to meet the current forward-looking events. And so it supports a great shorting opportunity when the assets have to be marked down to meet future looking GDP. That's one component for people who are investors and don't know how to be market makers. And there are many myths and things. However, marking the asset down is that this is a gap open down list, pre-market Nasdaq comp into trade management with a very light volume tape. How do I trade low volume? How do I survive in that market? And what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, what that really means is, and that I was telling Ken Flagg on this NVIDIA, it's been in a range. It was just at 14.5 pennies, paying out on several thousand shares in pre-market on this little stock with its upgrade on NVIDIA. We've been covering that one for quite a while. The bid and the ask is, how do I survive? So how do I take that gap down to 578.52 by 579.62 in pre-market? That's my close. Now I'm going to mark the asset down to a support level. At that support level, what will happen is that either the buyer is going to be much more powerful or the seller will take control. And how do we comfortably, without doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt, understand who's in control? We have an application that does just that. And that application will give the strength between the two parties. On the option front, they marked these down on the close. Yesterday's low was 530. Okay, but this is pre-market futures. We're going to come down. There's going to be light volume. How do I trade that light volume? You would see where you would have within the price action in the bid and ask. And where's that bid and ask? It's right here. 579.34 printed. He printed over on this side of the market. Look at the spread. Ask is 580. Bid is 578.68. So during the day in light volume, you want to keep your bid orders, your limit out orders at your wholesale entries. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to go 3 teenies down in your platform, 5 and 7. At the 7 teeny area down, you would have higher volume to buy. At the 3 teeny area down, if it hits and holds support and you have to transact immediately, then you would be getting your entry immediately and selling out into the strength of the move. On the put side of the 580 put we have, and the 585 put, it will have to come within the MMT. If you see another markdown, then the put side works. When this side has been marked down considerably, and even here in their weekly contracts, and the 585 is something to look at, because you got to remember that the previous day's close was 4.7. They've been marked up. These were marked down tremendously. 1950 to 530 on a weekly, 2350 down to 740. That's a huge markdown to what? Wholesale entry. That 575 call, that's the one. And it was 2350. It ended up closing down yesterday at 1140. Look at the last print. We are going to see if we hold yesterday's lows. We're going to put orders out here right now at 8.7 just to buy one contract on the opening bid with the stop market at 820, and then we would get back below the market at some point with light volume during a Thanksgiving week. It is possible that they can walk it up the same amount as they walked it down. Or you get half of this minus 12.10. If you pull out $4 of that, and then it's only down 8.10, well, you made $4 MMT. But it will be based on where that lower volume is on the markdown. That includes all of these gap open down prices. Amazon's getting sold out a little bit. They've been marking that asset down, as they should, from the last earnings report. So we were short Amazon for a long time. Look at it. And we still are short. We never believed in the earnings. We do believe that they do well, but that the earnings had to come down. Why? Well, because of their operating cost. They got to control that. That's a different story, a different day. Mark open down. On the gap open up list, well, you got Apple looking good. So far, they held that 365, and we finally got that same round of buying. That would be like a long-term 150-week moving average. Is where it's coming down and testing support levels. And if it breaks below it at a certain price level, and I will tell you, then you sell down a lot harder. So keep your eye. It's a positive gap. We have one positive above 1.00. That's the qualifier. The qualifier, only one stock. Okay? So back to the Nasdaq pre-market, gap open down, market maker trade management hour. We are going to win had a downgrade. Okay? Price line has been selling off on its great earnings. Here it is. It's 472, closing up 477. Look for that sell off. It will come at some point. You're going to bounce off of the low with low volume up. Once you hit that low and you get that entry, you're going to get at least $4 off the bottom on price line. Okay. If you want to hack intraday trades on this upgrade, you could have just gotten in at 1450 by 60. Down at the lower area, I would put out 500 shares to buy at 1435. I would wholesale market another 500 at 1445. That's 1,000 shares at the lower level prices. Okay? And as long as you come down and you got hit, let's say, at those wholesale levels, you could also, on the way up, once you know it's made, within a few pennies only, 3 or 4 pennies, add another 500 shares. Do not wait, because you're only going to have so much range in this. 1463, look at, you're looking at 25 pennies. So you got to get below the wholesale bid down there. 25, 35. You can also put a bid. You can put a bid out there on, let's say, 500 at 1457 and keep a stop market at 1452. And do 500 share increments and validate your entries on learning how to scalp a stock like NVIDIA on an upgrade. Get your limit orders down below the market. I'm concluding that GDP came out today and is part of the tape. And I'm concluding that the super committee cannot do things right. Many commodities were caught up in the prior session sell-off. The asset class is putting, I would say, in that class that we want to look at, because part of our 2012 private forecast is what is the commodity market going to do, and why are you going to be paying more after QE3 gets injected by Ben Bernanke, like paying high at the gasoline and the food store. So that CRB commodity index is up 0.4%. Oil prices in many particular are up 0.9% to 97.75 per barrel in the opening minutes of pit trade down in the pit. Your natural gas prices, well, they're up 0.6% to 3.85 per MMBTU. As for precious metals, gold prices are up 0.08% to $16.91 per ounce. Remember, there was a liquidation in that market with hedge fund managers that owe debts. Their big gains in that gold market are used as collateral and are now being called in. Those markers are being called in. And another thing, if we have more of a deflationary environment versus an inflationary environment, what do people really know what to do with gold? You would have to go and sign up to get a glimpse at our 2012 gold report. That will be very accurate and all mapped out ahead of time. European markets, FTSE is down 0.1, CAC down 0.1, and the DAX down 0.5. Euro US is flat near 1.3490. We've been covering this FXE with you in pre-market, and what we're going to do is, this is a TZA. That was that small cap bear. Remember the bear funds. Do not forget your bear funds are in play and building calendar yearly low bases. FXE currency printing, there's the close. You're below the price. That's going to be low for equities. That means that you're going to have to look at how to get this gap, left elbow gap down. At some point, they're going to be sold out. Google's only down 94 pennies. I'm concluding the trade management, option management, call side management. Let us not forget the put side management. The put side management. And happy holiday. Let's get busy. There is an upside move on the low volume trade.